On this episode of ResiWeek, we talk Savant teaming with Sonova, energy management, and Josh and AVA. All this and more on this episode of ResiWeek.
The network for the AV industry.
What are you listening to?
This
is AV.
This
is AVNation.
This is AVNation.
We can't say the future without AI. I mean, there's no way around it. 50% of workers now believe AI is going to improve their experience. When I come into the meeting room, I need a way to incorporate my AI with what's going on in the meeting. It's almost a bring your own AI type of a concept. Most of what we do in our day-to-day is going to change significantly.
Hear the latest AV trends and predictions in this episode of Crestron's Smarter Spaces podcast on your preferred podcast platform.
This is ResiWeek, episode 358, Demand Response. Welcome to this episode of ResiWeek. This is your weekly roundup of the latest news and stories for the residential AV industry. I'm your host, Matty Scott for AVNation.tv, and this week I'm pleased to be joined by two of my good friends. First, we have Mr. Avi Rosesnthal. He is a partner at bluesalve. How you doing, Avi?
I'm doing well, Matt. Thanks for having me on this week. Lots of exciting news coming up.
It's going to be a good one. And then that individual you see with the incredibly long and luxurious beard, I must say, is Ian Bryant. He is a operations manager and PM at Premiere SAV out of Jackson. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing wonderful. I'm so happy to be back on the show, man.
So glad to have you back. All right, gentlemen, we're kind of having an energy show today, which is why it's so great that Ian's here, because he's been touting this. You've been stumping this one for like 2 years. So yeah, this is going to be fun.
Yep.
All right. So first of all, from Residential Tech Today and Mr. Jeremy Glowacki, Savant teams with Sonova to deliver smart power solutions. If you don't know Sonova, they're a large energy consortium focused primarily on solar energy. Obviously, we all know Savant. But what they're doing is they're partnering to create and offer essentially a full package solution for customers with power solutions that monitors and controls energy from the grid, as well as home solar systems and generator power, creating an optimized ecosystem for any home. This is a really cool partnership, and something that honestly I'm surprised took this long to get from essentially two major partners. We've seen it a little bit with some companies like Sonnen and stuff like that, but this is the first true kind of power infrastructure company that's partnered with an automation platform across the board, flat, that type of thing. Avi, let me start with you on this one. Is this going to be kind of that true inroad for solar and true power management into our industry? And I think they have to be coupled together, right? That renewable energy factor and energy management, because we've got energy management companies, but this is where that really plays. I think, is this the first true inroad that's going to make this a vertical for us?
So I think it is definitely one of the first, right? I think what you're going to see here is an exchange of technology, a really cool exchange of technology. You say, why hasn't this happened before? I think because the software wasn't ready yet is really what it boils down to. And what this partnership is going to show is that at a high level, at a very sophisticated level, at a big house level, the software is ready to go. It'll give them a small launch point to work out the kinks, and then Sonova could really drive it down. Let's face it, Savant is not interested in the 1,500 square foot cottage on a beach kind of thing. This is going to be a high-end effort. It's going to be a sophisticated effort, and I think it's going to open up the pathways to the mass market eventually. And I think it also proves that people want it. One of the most interesting things that I read in this article was that 44% of the households are actually monitoring their energy. That's an astounding number, that 44% of households have some form of energy management. So I think that this is a great inroad, and I would absolutely agree with you that it is one of the first. I think there are others that are coming down the pipeline. I look at the Vivint Energy merger. I think that's going to be huge for energy management and for bringing this technology to the masses. But I think Savant and Sonova are going to do it in a very sophisticated way to prove that it can work for everybody else.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Ian, the solar aspect of this has been a dream of quite a few people in the industry. There's quite a few drivers out there that allow you to control battery solutions, power management solutions, transfer switches, yada, yada, yada. But they haven't necessarily, like, they've gotten off the ground, right? But it has not been something that your typical, even luxury integrator has been focused on. Is this the type of push that will make solar something that should come up in the conversation about any whole home system for, we'll start with the luxury market, but then hopefully trickle down into the upper decent market? I don't even know what to call it anymore.
Yeah, upper mid-level. Yeah. No, I think so. I mean, there's still going to be that issue where integrators are still a little timid about speaking on solar because it's such a different animal than AV or lighting or shades or any of our traditional sub-markets in the channel. But there are plenty of subcontractors to partner with, just like you would partner with an electrician to do your whole home lighting system. There are plenty of solar companies to partner with to get that portion of the project complete, wired into your Savant energy management system and your battery backup solution. But there are also a lot of opportunities. Depending on where you are, it's a little bit easier than others. Like out here in Wyoming, there's pretty strict on who can install certain things. We have a lot of licensing and requirements, but most of the country is still pretty, because it's running low voltage, it's still pretty open to do. So yeah, I mean, I hope that it allows integrators to feel more flexible and easier with the support of Savant. I mean, when at CEDIA Expo, that was one of the things that I was most excited about, was seeing this big push from Savant in their booth, showing the capability and the possibilities for power monitoring and management and battery backup solutions. I think as I mentioned, one of the difficult discussions, or at least the part that integrators are going to need to find out, is what is the selling point to those different markets. That luxury market, your carbon footprint may not be as important to those maybe that are in the mid market that are more concerned about being responsible and saving money. The luxury market, I believe, could be the answer could be personal energy independence, which is something that I've spoken about, is with the power grids that are continuing to age, with the issues we're having with blackouts and brownouts and trying to distribute power across coastlines, personal energy independence in your homes are going to be huge. And that combination of solar and the power monitoring and management plus the battery backup is key to making that work.
Yeah, that's a really good point. All right, gentlemen, let's change topics for a second. This comes to us from CE Pro and Nick Bover. Energy management at a big boom window for integrators. This is a kind of coverage of panelists at Expo's Smart Energy panel discussion to talk about, again, some of these emerging trends and where they're at. Go read this article. It's a really good overview, covering a couple things as far as how Middle America is already kind of paying attention to energy management a little bit, how home builders and utilities are pushing to save the straining grids, I should say. And the one I love is how EVs are going to cause more headaches at homes than more people realize. I think you're noticing California had dealt with that a ton over the summer. Ian, let me come back to you on this one. What is our role? And maybe I'm teeing you up for a soapbox moment, but what is our actual role as integrators? Where do we fit into this conversation? Because you can jump in and talk energy management. You can show people apps that, like we can integrate things that show you how you're using energy. But beyond that, where do we actually fit? What do we do into this market?
Well, I first wanted to say, I sat through this panel discussion at Expo, and I think Avi was there as well. It was a really, really good conversation, and I was really surprised at the number of of representatives they had in the industry that were there. It was really impressive. But yeah, I think it's all going to be based on comfort level for the integrator and also what they feel like where they want to expand. There's still a huge portion of integrators that are strictly doing AV that don't want to get into lighting and don't want to get into all the other options there are out there. But for those that want to be be that consultant, that go-to person for all things tech in the home for their customers, this is a great opportunity. And I've spoken about this before. It doesn't mean that you have to be the person that is doing the work, or it's just the person that is there for your customers to find solutions for their needs in their home. If they feel like they want to figure out they want to lessen their carbon footprint, or they want to go off grid, or they want to make sure that when they plug their EVs in, they're not going to strain the rest of the neighborhood or anything else. Do a little research, take some education, and be that person that can at least consult to your customer and consult them on what options there are, and then figure out a way to work with others to get that done. I mean, that's what integrators are so brilliant at, is that we find solutions for problems, or we find solutions to make people's lives better. That's what we're going for. So if we can do that, and for their power, that's great. But I know it's a new market, and it's very new to us, and it does walk that boundary of that low voltage, high voltage, and some areas that's not only scary but kind of gets a little threatening with the electrician. So
Matt, you should also remind everybody, we're called integrators for a reason, right? Part of our job is to bring disparate systems together and make them work together. Just because solar is different, it's just another system that our homeowners want, our clients want. And so we have to be in the mix.
I get that, and I can respect that. But I also look at any solar system that I've ever had to interface with, any energy management system that I've dealt with, any client that's got a Generac and they're doing load shedding. There's not a ton there for us to deal with and to have to manage, right? Especially on a day-to-day. It's kind of, for a large portion, it typically seems to be a set and forget. So what it makes me wonder is, do we approach this vertical less as a vertical and more as a opportunity to kind of be like the energy general contractor, where we sell the service to our clients as essentially a GC to manage all the other people that bring all these things in together? There are integration firms that have electrical licenses, but that's still by no means the norm. Is that should we be going the consultant route? Should we be going the GC route? Should we just be the person that's there who's like, yeah, we can make it all talk?
I think there's a lot of parallels to what went on in the HVAC industry when integrators first got into HVAC. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, there was very little interfacing to be done. I mean, when we sold April Air in the 90s, it was a serial connection. It was very basic. It was essentially, on, off, up and down. Things are a lot more sophisticated now. And I think we're in a similar place with energy management. There's a lot of data to be collected, but there's not a lot of reaction to be made to that data. But that's going to change. And I think the integrators that can take advantage of that, the same way there are integrators today taking advantage of the interface with the HVAC and with indoor air quality and things of that nature, I think that there's an opportunity with load shedding, with demand response. Understanding those terms are key in the future of buying power as consumers in the future. There's no doubt that we'll be on a demand response situation very soon in a lot of states. You look at what went on in Texas, over the last couple of winters. California, everything comes with solar now as a standard. So a lot of states are going to move towards this. If we want to remain relevant, then part of our job as integrators, as technology consultants, as that concierge that we all aspire to be, is to understand how these systems are going to react and work within all the other systems within the house.
So let me ask both of you, when do you see this becoming a mainstream piece for our channel? Not mainstream for the mainstream, but for our channel. Currently, this is, I don't care what anybody says, and I'll debate them all day long. This is a purely luxury market. And that's a shrinking market. I don't care what you say or what you think or how much you boast on social media. It is a slowly shrinking market share. When does this become, even a top 25% market?
I think you're looking at in the next 5 years. I think that at least the U.S. federal government has passed some laws that are going to dump a lot of dollars into electrical infrastructure and into solar. There's a lot of money that is going into solar. I read a report actually just this morning while I was preparing for this. There's a large concern out there. There's a large concern of scientists that solar will actually exceed fossil fuels in generation within the next 4 years, 2027. That's astounding. That's paradigm shifting. In order for that to happen, it means that we all have to have panels in our homes and businesses. That's not, it's not like they're going to take half the Sonoran Desert and just plaster it with solar panels, right?
We hope.
Well, you never know, but if you fly into Vegas lately, you'll see there's a nice big farm out there. But I think that there's going to be a lot of movement, and there's going to be a lot. This is the one of the articles that you sent around this is the window of opportunity, right? This is the window of the boom. There's a lot of truth to that, and I think getting educated, finding the right partners. This is the same advice we've been giving to integrators for 30 years.
Yep. Find
the right partners for electricians. Find the right partners for solar. Find the right partners for HVAC. Find the right partners for plumbing. How many guys out there never thought they would automate outdoor spaces, and now it's their main focus, right? Yep. Fountains and outdoor speakers and all kinds of stuff. Technology changes. We need to change with the times.
Yeah, I agree with that roughly 5-year mark. I mean, remember, this is something that is completely different than as far as getting this into homes. This is much different than anything we've ever done. It's up there with your home network and your internet, right? This is something that's going to be required by the law, federal and state laws, where people are going to, and it's not just the U.S. I mean, this is going to start happening in a lot of other major countries around the world where it is a requirement to have solar, is a requirement to have some sort of a basic power management, and is a requirement to possibly have backups because of the instability of these grids. And so, I mean, we may start to see, instead of rebuilding the national grids, they just start building small microgrids in your homes and your neighborhoods, instead of focusing on trying to get power from the East Coast to the West Coast. And so it is going to then, and it's not, the electricians are not going to be able to do this by themselves. This is going to require a huge workforce that's going to span all different trades to try and get this done over the next 5 to 10 years. So I do believe this is a great opportunity, as Avi said.
That's a really good point. All right, gentlemen, let's hit one more story before we go. See, this comes from CE Pro. Again, Josh AI and AVA unite to transform universal remote control. That is a headline there. Josh is obviously a really good fan of the show. We have Alex on here a lot. So this is a really big deal for them because they have been an integration manufacturer that has no touch points for the longest time other than mobile. So this is their first foray into the handheld market, which if you've been selling anything for a while, you know that sometimes it's just nice to have something in your hand you can click. Avi, let me start with you on this. Does this bring Josh more into the realm of your traditional control companies? Does this make them, and again, I'm not trying to be derogatory, but does this make them more of a full-fledged integration firm?
So I can give you my, and only my opinion on this. I have always wondered, because I've never integrated a Josh system. So let me start there. Mm-hmm. All right. So I'm not speaking from working with them, but from the outside looking in, it was always curious to me, if you had the big guys with the talking boxes, why Josh had what was a talking box itself, where it was going to differentiate itself, how it was going to become relevant. I think this is a great move for them because it does create more of a control point and more of a touch point for Josh. So people who may not have looked in the direction of Josh before because they felt like they could achieve the talking boxes with others now have this sophisticated handheld system to marry along with it. But it's interesting to me also because it's sort of like Josh has shied away from this for a long time, right? They were, no, we are the talking boxes. We are voice, and we do voice really well, and we're well liked within the integration circles. I'm curious what drove them to believing that they had to go with Ava, for instance, this small remote control company, rather than partnering with an RTI or a URC, where they might have had a little bit more traction. So, what does it do to the rest of the marketplace now that I can install a Josh system and it integrates with a whole bunch of stuff, but now I also have a choice of their remote control? Lots of questions, and I can't wait to see their integration. I'm excited to see how it all comes together, but lots of questions, I think, in the way that this is all going to sort of fall out.
Yeah, it's a really good point. They've always seemed to be very effective working with another partner, whether it's Control4 or Crestron or RTI or URC or whoever they've worked with. It's always seemed to be good, but it's always been that kind of like, hey, you use this and this, which is par for the course with voice control for that matter. Ian, the only thing that gave me pause when I saw this was I think it's fantastic that they partnered with AVA. I've been kind of following the AVA product for a while. I believe it was a Kickstarter unit where it started. It looks really good. It looks really effective. It looks like a winner. That being said, we also saw this with Nero. And Nero looked like a winner. It looked fantastic. And then it got bought out. And then there were shipping issues. And then there was bending issues. And you sat on it wrong. And the whole thing cracked. And all of these little things that happened.
You're not supposed to sit on them, Matt.
Shoot, my kids throw my remotes. We find them in the most interesting places. Is there any concern? We're in a interesting economic place right now, kind of North America, but also globally. We just saw one of the startup companies that we thought could make a good go of it with Oro running into some big problems. I just saw that Daktronics, I think it was this morning, Daktronics filed that they're not sure if they're going to be able to continue in business. And they're massive. Yeah. Is there a concern that, to Avi's point, they went with AVA or AVA or however you say that, against maybe some of the more established companies in the remote space?
Yeah, I mean, right now is probably one of the hardest times in our industry for manufacturers to get their feet off the ground and stay in business and stay at the front of the market. I mean, it's, as you mentioned, we've seen so many recent that we thought were all going to be great products try and fail. And again, the last couple of years, due to the pandemic and global shipping and availability of silicon chips and everything else, have just caused this huge problem. And to go with a brand new and a new to the market company is a little bit questionable. I mean, obviously the remote itself is very sleek and matches the kind of the simplistic modern look that the Josh AI products have. It is very simple, like an Apple remote. You've got a single button for your voice command, and I like you, I'd love to see it succeed, but there is that question of why not go with that brand that's been around for 15, 20 years, so that in 5-10 years you're going to still be using the same product. So I think we'll just have to wait and see. And I have not used one of the AVA remotes as far as programming is concerned. I believe it uses either a Google or
it's a GUI.
Yeah, platform. So we'll just have to see its capabilities. I know, again, I don't know if it also will only work with products that work with Josh, and if they're working with the same products themselves. I haven't had enough time to think about this. You may have to design your projects around the available products that work with them, as I don't believe there may be drivers that are going to be able to work. I know that, again, Josh is really, really good at developing very robust partnerships with or drivers with their partners. They go a lot further than most would. So I think if you just plan ahead and make sure that everything in your systems are going to be working with the out of the box products, you should be good. But yeah, there is that question of long-term sustainability in the market. I don't have an answer, but it is something that I think we should all kind of keep an eye on, especially if you're selling them.
Yeah, that's a really good point. Again, I wish them nothing but the best. Hopefully,
absolutely,
they continue to make it work really well, because looks like it's a fantastic product. So I love it. All right, gentlemen, let's leave it there. Thank you both so much for joining us. Ian, if people want to connect with you, learn more about Premiere SAV, how can they do that?
PremiereSAV.com, or you can email me at ian.bryant@PremiereSAV.com, and that is Premiere with the extra E on the end.
The right way.
That's right.
There you go. I was waiting for that.
I'm here for you. I got you. Avi, thank you, my friend, for joining us. If people want to connect with you, learn more about bluesalve, how can they do that?
Best way is on our website, www.bluesalve.com. And certainly anybody can find me on the LinkedIn, the Twitters, the Facebooks, I'm on all the things. All the things and all the places.
Thank you again for joining us. If you'd like to connect with me, you can find me on Twitter at Matt D. Scott and most other platforms. But more importantly, please stop by AVNation.tv, where you'll find this show as well as a wide variety of other shows with all the verticals that we cover. When you visit the website, please take a moment to check out our supporters. We are extremely thankful for their support and ask that you check them out as well. Thanks again for watching. That's all the time we have for this episode of ResiWeek.